la 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 la. But haven't seen my tears fall down. So many things have happened. The years go by and the friends you have for no more. Jealousy and envy. Wow, because you keep on grinding. People wanna see you fail, and although you fall, just move on. Crabs in a barrel. Want what you have, try to pull you down. Don't wanna work, just wanna take. They also fade on me. The more you hate, I'll get lifted. Hate on me. The more you hate, I'll get lifted. La 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 la.
La 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 la. La la la.
People come,
Check,
people
check,
go.
check. Where they at? I don't know. Yo, I just love this freaking song. I'll tell you that a million times. I love this song. I love this song. I believe that this song gives so much like power. It gives so much strength. It just reminds me like all the time, no matter what happens, like you just keep on moving. You keep doing what you do. These lights are going to kill my eyeballs tonight because I forgot my glasses, but that's my own fault. So lately here I've been thinking about a lot of things as I typically do, and one of the things that I've really been thinking about is how many people that I personally know that has passed. And I don't want to start the night on a sad note, but I wrote a little something real quick just about it, and it had me thinking about my childhood and everything. But here it goes. I would like to take this opportunity to raise my glass for the brothers that passed, not from bullets and gun smoke, but because God decided to call them home. They say only the good die young. I don't know where they get that saying from. All I know is over my lifetime, it has proven to be true. Half of that lifetime too young to admit that, my brother, I love you, without following up with no homo. Back then, being a man was 1% knowledge, 99% bullshit machismo. I wonder how many of my brothers today actually know how much they mean. I can no longer wait for the courage to build. I have to tell you all before we get killed. I love you. Rather black, Asian, white, or mulatto, I know the human struggles you go through. I am my brother's keeper though the names on death's list keep getting deeper and deeper. Robert Turner, Darrell Miller, Lance Cole, Jason Mays, Roosevelt Jennings. I keep getting caught up in my feelings at stoplights. Radio fades to instant replays of moments we shared. No one said life would ever be fair yet. No one ever told me it would be so hard. So I'm not finished writing that. I want to add so much more to that, but I just really want to spend some time and give some homage to the people in my life that have recently passed. And oddly enough, so many people I know, it's not that they passed from getting killed in the street. It's not that they passed from COVID, but it's just that they passed from medical conditions, or, you know, one person even under like a mysterious circumstance. And I don't necessarily know what that's about, but it always leaves me thinking about just everything, thinking about life in general, and always coming to the conclusion that truly we don't know how much time we have on this planet. And so it always has me in my bag thinking, if you don't know how much time you have left on this planet, then maybe we should really take care and think of the things that matter the most to us. We need to find ways of actually making things happen. We need to start finding ways on how to move our lives forward and maximize the time that we have on this planet. And man, let me tell you something. I've been working really hard trying to get some things together. I've been working really hard trying to do some things, trying to solidify my brand as a performer. You know, I've been busy putting my music out on iTunes and everything else. I've been busy trying to construct like a new logo. I'm working on releasing a couple of videos. Like, I'm working on so many things because I truly start to believe in my heart that, man, you can almost hear that secondhand ticking. You can. And for those who don't hear that secondhand ticking, like, we got to start thinking to ourselves. We literally have to start thinking to ourselves, like, how much time do you think that you have in this world? And it's not me trying to be ominous. It's not me trying to, be negative or anything. It's actually me being positive. It's me trying to tell you that as an individual, you need to go to whatever heights you need to go to truly experience life in the way that you need to experience it. You need to take chances. You need to step out on faith. A lot of people always see this whole epidemic thing, this pandemic thing, as being like such a horrible thing. But in all actuality, I kind of see it as a blessing in a way. And unfortunately, it's not a blessing for those people who are, who have lost their lives from it. It's definitely not. But to all of us who have been infected and survived, to all of us who went and got their, injections and everything, to their inoculations so they could be safe from it. And, for all of those who didn't and who just don't trust the government because it came out too fast, for everybody with opinions and everything, all I'm trying to say to you is that this point in time here, it's a turning point in your life. Man, you can go left, right, up, down, sideways. You can do whatever you want to in this moment, because this has stopped life in a way that in our lifetimes we have not experienced. It gave us all time to work on ourselves, to become better people, to become better entrepreneurs, better investors of other people, and investing in ourselves. You got what I'm saying? And so the true blessing of everything is time. Because let me tell you something, time is the most valuable and precious resource that we as human beings will ever have. Time, literally. Those few seconds that just ticked by, you won't get them back. Once it's spent, it's gone. You can't earn more time. You can always earn more money. You can do a whole lot of things. And as ominous as this sounds, you can lose family and gain family, but you can't gain more time. And with every second that ticks, it takes us closer to a space that we've never been in before, because it takes us into a new second. And once we roll through that second, guess what? It's over as soon as it came. Let me tell you something. Just yesterday, I was 5. Shit, I remember going to elementary school. I remember middle school. I remember graduating high school. I remember college. I remember the Marine Corps. I remember the Army. I remember when I didn't have any kids, and I remember when I had kids, you know what I mean? But when you look back on life, it seems as though it's went so fast. Life has went so fast, and now we find ourselves in this space of what do we do next? Where do we go next? How do we build? How do we become greater? Some of us, we don't even plan for tomorrow because today is the best thing that we got. But let me tell you something. Today is not the only thing that you have. Today is literally not the only thing that you have. Because God willing, you open your eyes tomorrow, it is a new day. And it's new things to conquer. It's a new world to build. See, I'm a firm believer in you build your world and you live in it. You build the world you want to live in. A lot of times people want to feel important, so they post all these things on Facebook, they post all these things on Instagram, because to them, all of these things make them feel like important. Hell, some of it might make them feel loved. I don't know. But the honest to God truth is, it's all like a shell. It's not real. Let me tell you something. If you want to understand what building your world and living in it honestly means, building your world and living in it, it means to take hold of the day and take hold of the moment. It means if you like to cook but you don't know how, it means to learn how, to embrace it and to love it and to live in that moment. You know? Let me tell you something. If you want to live in a country, then you have to make steps to move there. You have to make your world the way you want it. If you don't like a lot of traffic and everything, then move out of the city. You got what I'm saying? You have to build your world in a way that it makes sense to you. In a way that when you come home, you can close your eyes and just, you can breathe. Because life doesn't oftentimes give us a chance to breathe. A lot of times we don't even know what life means. And I've been on this journey for a very long time trying to understand what it means. Like when I got hurt in the military and I came home, half of my anxiety and PTSD and everything, it's tied to death. And the funny part about everything is when I went to war, I made peace with the fact that I could die. I handled everything I needed to handle. I packed up my stuff. I got rid of stuff that I felt like I didn't need to have. I tried to tie up all my loose ends so if I died, it wouldn't be hard on anybody. And then I just went away. I went to war, freaking did what I had to do every day, day in, day out. It's time to go on a mission. I get up, I get my truck ready, I get my gear ready, get everything together. I would wash my clothes, fold them, put them in my Foot Locker because I knew if I passed, they would have to inventory it, and I didn't want to make my death hard on anyone. Not none of my brothers in arms and not my family when they came back home. I wanted to make everything simple as I possibly could. So that's what I did. I built a world around feeling comfortable with the fact that I might die. And then I come home having lived through war, having gotten hurt and all, and you come home and all of a sudden I find that, okay, yeah, I have a couple of mental things going on. And the hardest thing in my life is trying to beat those mental things. You got what I'm saying? But what I realized at a certain point, let me tell you, I was laying in bed all day. Every day, I thought I was going to die. As a matter of fact, every time I prayed to God that he would keep me alive long enough to wake up in the morning, take my daughter to school. And after I take her to school, then it's okay if I die, because if I died and I never came to school to pick her up, then they would call me. And if they couldn't get in touch with me, they would call her emergency contact, and she would never have to see me. She would not have to see me without life in my body. She would not have to carry that around for her whole life. And that's how fucked up, like anxiety and stuff had me. And I was laying in bed and I couldn't get out of bed. And when she didn't have school, guess what? Everything was done from my bedroom. She would come upstairs, watch TV with me. I wouldn't take her outside. We wouldn't go anywhere. And that's depression holding me back. And as soon as I felt a pain, one pain, it was a huge snowball effect. And all of this stuff was mounting on me and mounting on me. You got what I'm saying? It got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I just could not do it anymore. And then I went to the emergency room so many times. And I went to the emergency room so many times that the doctors and shit started getting smart with me, to the point that I had to flip out on them. I literally had to flip out on them. And that's the only way that I gained respect or control of the situation when I was in the hospital. And what wound up happening was I got to this one point where I was so disgusted with my treatment at the hospital. I was so embarrassed over how they made me feel. So embarrassed over how they made me feel. And I couldn't do that. They didn't understand. I was in the Marine Corps and everything. I'm a grown ass man. I come from a home full of a bunch of boys. Like I grew up in a fucking hood. The lullaby was gunshots and shit. So it was like I had to come to a point where within myself, I said, I have to be okay with going. But if I'm going to go, I don't want the last thing my daughter remembered about me was laying in bed all the time. Well, daddy was always in bed. Daddy was always in bed. I didn't see daddy take a shower today. I didn't see him take one yesterday. I didn't see him take one the day before. And I had to make a decision. And the decision pretty much came down to, am I going to allow myself to be swallowed up by these new things that have appeared in my life, these stowaways that came home from the war with me, anxiety, PTSD, freaking depression. I mean, I would wake up in the middle of the night and just look out the window, and I swear to God, every time I looked out the window, I just knew that somebody would be standing in the middle of the street looking up at me. And these thoughts alone were just eating me alive. You check every lock to make sure everything is locked before you go to bed at night. But then you wake up like an hour later and you come downstairs and you check everything again. And the only thing that helped me sleep at the time was alcohol. That's all I could literally do. I could drink. And when I drank, it made me not give a fuck. It's like, well, this is happening. It made me sit there and hold myself. And I had to come to this like juncture in the road, this fork in the road, where I was like, either I'm going to lay here and die, or I'm going to die on my feet doing something. And so one night, honestly, my daughter wasn't with me that weekend. And let me tell you something. I felt my heart beating. I have atrial fibrillation. I felt my heart beating all crazy in my chest. And all of a sudden, my mind started taking control of the situation, just telling me, you're getting ready to die. You know you're going to die. You better go to the hospital. You better do something about this. If you don't do something about it, it's going to be your last day. And then finally, I just said, fuck it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to fucking die. And I got up, I hopped in the shower, and let me tell you something, hands shaking, feeling fucking so fucked up. Like it was like an implosion, not an explosion. It's like I was just gonna crush under the weight of myself, crush under the weight of my thoughts and all. And I finally had told myself, you know what? Got out the shower, freaking got dressed, put on some deodorant for a change, put on some fucking smell good or whatever, and I was out the door. I hopped in the car and I just drove. And I rolled my windows down, and it was cold outside. But that cold air hitting me and making all of those chills run down my body, for a change, I felt like I was alive. For a change, for once, I felt like if it came, it was going to come on my terms. And I just said, fuck it. And you know what happened? I drove around until I didn't feel like driving around anymore. I drove past the hospital. I drove past where I grew up at. I drove past places that I typically didn't go. I just drove everywhere. I even drove down 3rd Street to see if it was like anybody out there, because that's normally where the hookers walk. You know what I mean? Just driving around, taking in sights. And then I said to myself, I had to put a plan in place. I had to build my fucking world so I could live without being afraid anymore. Let me tell you something. It's hard to be afraid when you're not used to fear. It is hard being afraid when you come to terms with the fact that you may die. When every time you put on your gear and you hop in your truck and you go out that fence, don't nobody out there like you. They don't care about you. They don't even fucking speak your language. They don't care, you know? And so to come to a point where I had to stand up and just say, fuck it. I got to take control of this situation. I got to take control over what's going on in my life. And it's not that the feelings of all of this went away. It's not that the fears dissipated. It's not that I was no longer afraid, but in spite of being afraid, despite of being afraid, I still did what I was going to do. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start putting things in my life. I'm literally going to start putting things in my life. And see, this is the fucked up part. I'm a man of my word. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. You know what I mean? And so what happened was it forced me into a situation. It forced me into a situation that if I speak it, I have to do it. My actions have to match what I say. And so I started agreeing to things. And let me tell you something, agreeing to things is the worst possible thing that somebody with anxiety can do, that somebody with depression can do. It's the worst thing, because if you have anxiety and shit and you talking about, oh yeah, in a week and a half, the event is a week and a half away, I'll be there. From that moment, it's like a little clock is ticking. And you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to this. Why'd I do this to myself? You start questioning yourself. You start being upset with yourself. You start freaking arguing with yourself about why you keep putting yourself in these situations. Why don't you say no? Why don't you just tell them no? But guess what? I can't tell them no. Because for me, as long as I'm moving, I'm staying in front of them fucking footsteps that I hear in the background. I'm staying away from them footsteps. You got what I'm saying? They don't get a chance to catch me if I keep moving, because let me tell you something, ain't nothing worse than being alone with your thoughts. Sometimes it ain't nothing worse than being alone with your thoughts. See, what people don't understand is it takes a lot to make you who you fucking are. It takes a whole lot to make you who you are. And people don't know what you've been through in life. People don't know what you've seen. People don't know what you've experienced. And I'm not even just talking about being in the military. I'm talking about living in these streets, the way I grew up, the things I was exposed to. You know what I mean? It's so many things that mold you into the person that you are, but you have to make a decision. You got to make a decision on what your world looks like. And I don't give a fuck what anybody else is doing around you. None of that matters. None of that matters, because guess what? That thing I was talking about earlier, time, it's different for everyone. And as I said, if you waste your fucking time, you won't get it back. Nobody can let you borrow time. You can't earn time. You can't. And once it's gone, it's gone. So if you choose to waste it, then it's wasted. It's gone. Let me tell you something. So my daughter called me today. Love her with all my heart. She know I do. But she calls me today and she say, Dad, you know, when I get to a stop sign, when I get to a red light, my car cuts off. She said, I took it to AutoZone so I can get them to test the car, but because of COVID, they won't come out and test my battery. And I said, well, what made you think it was the battery? Oh, because the car cut off. But it start right back up, you know, if I put it in park. And I said, so who told you it was the battery? Oh, no, but the car kept, no, listen, who told you it was the battery? You know, and she's like, nobody. I said, well, you went in there, you told them it was the battery, so they told you something for the battery. They don't know. They're not mechanics or anything else. Then they give you a tool to test your car, to plug it up to the computer to get the code, and you don't even know how to do that. I said, see, what's going to happen here now is take your car home and park it. Because she wanted me to come down there to AutoZone, take her battery out. You know, she wanted me to come to the house, take her battery out, take it to AutoZone and test it, charge it, whatever, bring it back and put it in her car. But I'm like, because you don't know what it is, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'll look at it tomorrow. And I don't think that she could understand why. And I could hear it in her voice that she was a little bit upset. But let me break it down to you. You might be like, well, damn, Mike, it's just the battery. Time out. So I got to drive 15 minutes to my daughter, take 10 minutes to take the battery out. That's 25 minutes. I have to drive over to AutoZone. That's another 10 minutes. That's 35 minutes. So I got to wait 45 minutes for them to charge the battery. 35 plus 45, didn't really want to do the math, but I will. 0 carry to 1, 7, 8. That's 80 minutes. That's an hour and 20 minutes. Drive back to my daughter's house. That's 10 minutes. Now that's an hour and 30 minutes. Put the battery back in. That's 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Now it's an hour and 40 minutes. Then spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes going back home. So now I don't wasted 2 hours of time. And if it's not your battery, then I just wasted 2 hours of my life. And I don't care if you don't value your time the way that I value mine, but don't get upset at me because I love my time. Because every breath I breathe in is the sweetest breath I ever had. I promise you, I will not waste my time. I won't. And most people see it and they'll look at you like you being a dick. No, I'm not being a dick. I'm not going to allow you to take from me what you cannot give me back. We go to work and they pay us for our time. They pay us for our time and effort. You spend all this time at work busting your ass and then complaining for 6 years that they're not paying you enough and they won't promote you, but you're still standing there wasting your time. You see, I never gained an appreciation for time until I got into a situation where it could have been a possibility I didn't have any time left. Then I finally understood the concept of time. See, I learned why time was money early on. I used to work at this place called Olympic Tool, and they made these like little conveyor belt things, but they made it from scratch. I had to cut metal. I was a machinist. I had to cut metal. Then I had to deburr it. Then I had to drill holes. And if they gave me 200 pieces and the machine jumped 1/8 of an inch, these are precision machines. If I spent 10 hours on those 200 pieces and I fucked up a little bit, they got to throw them away. They would take out a micrometer and check it, each individual piece, to make sure it was where it was. So I understood how time was money. So not only did they have to pay me for the day if I fucked it up, but they lose money every day that order doesn't get out the door. See, time is money. That's easy to understand. I understand that. But see, it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. So I could be running around taking a bunch of medications and stuff. I was taking hydroxyzine because it kind of took the edge off of the anxiety. You know what I mean? But it put you like in a chill mode, like if you smoked a little bit of weed or something. I smoked a little bit of weed. I tried a little bit of edibles and everything else. And, I came to this one conclusion. If I want to control me, I have to put my life in terms that it makes sense to me. Because you go talk to a doctor. I tried talking to doctors and everything else, and it didn't always work. You know what I mean? Hold on one second, please. I tried to talk to doctors and it didn't always work out. Let me see. Hold on one second, please. Bye. So I talked to doctors and everything. It didn't always work out. It didn't always come down the way it was supposed to come down. They didn't always see things the way I kind of saw it. They didn't always agree with the things that I had to say. And a lot of times they didn't understand it. Like I have fibromyalgia. Now, personally, I believe I have something else, but I have fibromyalgia. And so trying to explain to the doctors what it feels like, everybody looks at you like you crazy. And then come to find out, fibromyalgia is actually one of those things where they can't test for it. So you can just tell them. So they'll say, well, what do you feel? I said, well, sometimes I feel like there's a blunt toothpick poking on the inside of my eyeballs, like trying to poke out. Like I'm trying to explain stuff to them the best way I can. But through my whole life, I've never felt much physical pain. You know what I mean? So it was hard for me trying to explain my pain to somebody that didn't quite, that trying to explain to somebody, and I just didn't know how to explain it because I never felt that kind of stuff before. And even then, most of the time when they open up your chart and they see anxieties, they see depression, they see PTSD, guess what? They write you off. You're written off. So honestly, most of the time when you have mental disorders and things of that nature, you are on your fucking own. So like I said, after laying in bed for so long, I had to make a decision. And I had to make a decision for me. Now, let me tell y'all something. Am I 100% together? No, the fuck I'm not. But you would never know. You would never know. There's situations sometimes where it's like a little man in my head running around and he's flipping over the furniture, ripping pictures off the wall, breaking dishes because he's freaking the fuck out. But I'll sit here and I'll talk to you like this. And I kind of credit the Marine Corps for that, honestly. They kind of instill some discipline in your body or whatnot. Let me tell you something. There's so many people walking around in pain. But a lot of them don't know how to deal with it, so they will turn to drugs. They do turn to alcohol, and I can understand how that happens. I understand how people get addicted to things. I understand how people lose control. I can understand why people fuck people up. Because some days, just imagine this. Imagine this. Imagine living every day in pain. So let's say you stub your toe. And anybody knows that stubbing your toe on something, they might as well stab you. They might as well take a gun out and shoot you. Stubbing your toe on something, it hurts really, really bad. Well, imagine walking around with that pain most of the time. And if they give you medication for it, they don't do opioids anymore because people abused opioids so damn bad that they're scared to give somebody a Xanax. So if you wasn't already on it, they don't grandfather you into it. So they give you all this other shit with 50 side effects. Man, let me tell you something. The first time they gave me something, I wish I could remember what it was. I took it and literally, it must have been fast acting because I was drooling. I mean, I was kind of sort of aware, but I was so fucked up. Like I could not do anything. I'm like, I can't live my fucking life like this. I can't do this. Just to not be in pain, just not to feel this or feel that. And then that wasn't even a fucking narcotic. And then a lot of shit they say you got to build it up in your system and then you got to be weaned off of it if you want to come off of it. I don't want to live life like that. So what did I do? Once again, I build my world and I live in it. So I started gardening. I started, doing a little bit more lives and stuff. I've been writing, so I write. You know what I mean? I try to do things that make me feel good. I do stuff for people. I give of my time to people that I feel are worthy to have my time. And yes, that may sound like I'm some type of dick, but let me flip it around for you. Are you giving your time to people that are worthy of having your time? Everybody is not worthy of your time. Most people, if they can use your time to their advantage, they will. But it's funny how life works. You don't get double time. You don't get double time. But as they're living congruently with you, they're using your time for their purposes to push them farther. So now what does that do for you? What does it leave you with? But this is why I'm saying we as individuals, man, we got to be careful. We really have to be careful. Let me tell you something. Some people got a good heart. They'll do anything for you. Some people got a good heart, man. They'll do anything for you, take you anywhere you got to go. They will not watch you fail. They will be by your side. No matter what, they will be by your side. They will be in your corner. That's a good thing. But just like I was saying, I said this on the live yesterday, I believe, you have people in life that's like that, and you have people on the other side of that they'll just take what you're giving, but they won't give nothing back. They won't give nothing back. Let me tell you something. So if you have 16 ounces of water and one of your friends have 16 ounces of water and y'all walking through the desert, and every time y'all get really thirsty, both of y'all take an ounce of water from your bottle, and y'all do that 8 times until your bottle is empty. So now all of a sudden, your bottle's gone, but they still got a full bottle. And they say to you, when y'all get thirsty, you're expecting an ounce. You gave without expectation, but once you get thirsty, in a way, in the back of your mind, I guess maybe there is expectation that you do want an ounce of water because you just gave away most of yours. And this person pulls out their flask and they take a swig and they be like, man, I don't know when the next time I'm going to have something to drink. Now, is that wrong? Like, if you look at the man that's left with water And he's saying, I don't know when the next time I'm going to have something to drink. We could all think self-preservation. We could all think logically and say, you know what, he right. But at the end of the day, for the person with the good heart who's trying to look out, who's trying to share, who's trying to do stuff in the best way, how does that pan out for them? And most of the time when we give of ourselves unselfishly, what happens is we create a scenario where we become a complacent complainer. We'll complain about people doing this to us, but we'll be complacent in our actions. We'll just do the same things we've been doing, you know? Because I think deep down inside, everybody wants to be a good person. When it's all said and done, we all want to be good people. But at what cost? Let me tell you something. If it's going to cost you your money, I understand that. I'll give somebody money faster than I give my time. Shit, what? You need a ride? I tell you what, call an Uber. I'll cash app you a couple dollars. Now, I'm not saying everybody tonight be sending me messages talking about, can you Uber me somewhere? But what I am saying is I'd rather Uber you because guess what? My time is too valuable to stop what I'm doing. And I don't give a fuck if I'm relaxing. That's what I want to do in the moment. I want to relax. So you just have to respect that because guess what? You can't give me my time back. If you can give me my time back, then shit, maybe I'll waste a year on your wants and needs. But you can't give me my time back. So if you can't give me my time back, then, I mean, let's be real. What the fuck is this about? What the fuck is this really about? It can't be all about you. It just can't. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, but we've been put into a scenario. We've been put into this social construct of, oh man, you got to look out for people and you got to be the better person and you got to this and you got to that. Man, it's so many gottas. Everybody tell you what you have to do. It's so many have tos. But guess what? If you're the only one following that rule, then what? Let me tell you something. I want y'all all to remember this. It's okay to give, but don't give to the point that it hurt you or your family. You got what I'm saying? If your rent is due on the 1st and somebody needs half your rent on the 15th and they tell you they'll give it back on the 1st, you need to think about that. You need to think about that before you give that up. I'm just saying. It's not saying that I'm sitting here telling you be selfish, but consider the source of who's asking you for what they need. That's all I'm saying. Consider the source. Let me tell you something. People say, oh, well, people change. Let me tell you something. If all you ever did was robbed and stole, let me tell you, I believe that people change. If you needed a place to crash for the night, I'll try to toss you a couple dollars, help you get a cheap room. But that's as far as I can go with that. I don't need to put myself at risk or in danger of you robbing me blind while I'm sleeping just to give you a chance to show that you changed, because you could have changed, but then what if you didn't? Shit, if it was a freaking a pedophile or something like that's your brother, that's your uncle, that's your sister, that's your cousin, that's your great aunt. If you went somewhere and they say, hey, you're rehabilitated, I don't have to find out what you staying at my house with my kids. It just don't go that way. That don't mean I'm going to be a dick to you. But what it does mean is I'm not going to take the chance. I'm not going to take the chance. You can't give people liberties with your time, with your security, with your effort, with your hard work. Man, stop letting people be bricks in a bag on your back. Let me tell you something. It's like if somebody's car broke down and they say, well, can you come help me push this car over to the side of the road? And you go to push and they get in the driver's seat and close the door and put their feet out the window or something. And you're looking around like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I'm supposed to be helping you. I'm telling you. Something so precious, time, once given, can never be returned. It can't be earned. All you can do is value it. You can do the best thing that you could possibly do with every moment of it that you have. And sometimes the best thing is rest. Somebody could look at you and be like, look, you ain't doing nothing. I'm resting. I'm recharging my battery. That time is important for my body to rejuvenate. So you're not going to push me like a dog. Let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer in building your world and living in it. I also am a firm believer in seek first to understand, then to be understood. So a lot of times I'll sit back and do my best to understand whoever it is I'm talking to, whoever it is that I'm dealing with. You got what I'm saying? I got to sit back and understand you so that I know how to communicate with you, number one. Number two, I got to sit back and listen to you so I can absorb what you're telling me, and then I could make an informed decision on what I want to do. And if you need an answer today, but I ain't got one for you today, keep that shit pushing then. I'm the wrong person to ask. Because guess what? I'm not ready to hitch my wagon to your fucking star. It just goes that way. So does that seem like a bad attitude? Does that make me a bad person because maybe in this moment, I don't want to just give my time to your entitled ass because you feel entitled to my time? When people get angry at you because you won't do something for them, you feel entitled to my time. You feel like you were deserving of my time. But that's not for nobody in this world to decide whether or not they're deserving of your time. That's up to you. Guess what? If I need a ride to California and you busy, I'm going to eat that. Because guess what? You're busy. I can't get mad at you. I've heard people say, oh man, don't ask so-and-so. They don't never want to do nothing. So what? That's what they want to do with their time. And if you already know they like that, just stop asking, because apparently they don't want to do it for you. And they have their own reasons why they don't want to do it for you. You got what I'm saying? So in this whole thing of time that I'm talking about and how valuable your time is, let me push this out to y'all. It's a poem that I did and everything else, and I wrote it for my boy Lance Cole. I do it all the time, but it's a constant reminder to me and how short our time is, and how mental illness affects people, and how life in general affects people, and how people can be around you and you can be drowning. You could be in a pool full of expert swimmers and you can be drowning and nobody can save you. Or maybe nobody realizes that you're drowning. So this is called Warrior Cry. If a warrior cries in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear him, does he make a sound? Who knew that a moment of silence could be so loud? Who knew that the darkest of loneliness could be found in a crowd of people who say that they care, yet too emotionally ill-equipped to handle with care the jagged edges of a warrior with no more missions, only crosses to bear? A warrior who cries out during nightmares, yet silent within the reality thrusted upon him without the proper tools to survive. The feeling is intrusive, like bullets trespassing through unsuspecting skin, like sins of the father visited upon the son, and those footsteps in the darkness are catching up, you see. Warriors were never taught to run. We're taught to be oxymorons, walking dead. Sadness become a needless necessity when coming home labeled a hero against one's will. If a warrior kills for his country, then who do we hold accountable for the blood that is spilled? Just who do we hold accountable for the countless souls we are commissioned to steal? Just who do we hold accountable for the countless tears cried in the dark that spark aggression, imploding, self-loathing, the image leered upon with disdain through a toothpaste-stained mirror? You see, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, except for warriors labeled veterans through the eyes of we the people. So now I ask you, if a warrior loads his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, does he make a sound? When damaged to the point of no return, do we ignore the forest and let the fire burn under the logic that the fire will eventually burn itself out? Now insert warrior and take the word fire out. You see, there's a battle going on. The battlefield is a place that we call home, and it's beyond me how we have so many casualties and closets full of bone and flesh. Somewhere, death almost feels like a warm bath and a phone call home. Where no warrior is ever left behind, we're just left alone in that empty abyss of thank you for your service. Left sitting in a waiting room to be put on pills, trying to convert to living life from kill or be killed. So I ask you, if a warrior shoots his gun in the middle of the night and no one is around to hear, before his body hits the floor, will it finally make a sound that this world will finally hear? 7,403 vets commit suicide each year. That's one hero every 65 minutes. If you close your eyes tight enough and you listen really hard, you just might hear it. So I wrote that for him, and in the interest of understanding time and what time means and how we give our time. So I tell people that I will never take away my service to the military. I will never take away my service to this country. I believe in serving my country. It was something I wanted to do, and I feel like it was time well spent. And it is because of my military service that I'm in the position that I'm in today, but it's a double-edged sword. Because let me tell you something. I'm in a good space in one arena, but mentally, I'm not always in the best of spaces. Man, my body hurts all the time. All the time. And there is nothing that I can do about it. And sometimes I sit there and I smile because I don't want everybody sitting there like, oh, poor him, or oh my God, here he come. You got what I'm saying? Because we always got to stand in fear of judgment. We always got to stand in fear of judgment. And the odd part is, it's not people that I fear being judged by, but when my children look at me, I want them to see a strong man. I want them to see a strong father. And I will tell them sometimes that I'm hurting. But you know what? They still see me moving. They still see me doing stuff. And what they'll say to themselves, hopefully, is that no matter what, we got to keep moving. We have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I tell them about time. Value your time. Value your time. Because I'm literally telling you, you will never get it back. I don't care how it goes. I don't care how it flows. I don't care who you know. I don't care how hard you pray to God. If you believe that praying to God will give you more time, then ask for 200 years. Matter of fact, ask for 130. You got what I'm saying? You can't get any more time. And even if there was a way to get more time, it don't mean that your body going to be in better shape. It doesn't mean that your mind, it doesn't mean you'll be sound of mind. Hell, one cartoon taught me something a long time ago, Aladdin. And Jafar said, oh my boy, there are some things worse than death. And so that takes me to a space of shit. If for whatever reason in life, something happened to you and you became paralyzed, like a paraplegic or something, or you became like so badly like mentally disabled, but you're still kind of like aware, you know what I mean? That's a prison within itself. And the honest to God truth is, something like that can happen to you anywhere, anytime. There is no guarantee. No guarantee whatsoever. So right now, while you're of sound mind and body, do something with your fucking time. As I said, COVID was a bad thing. It rushed in. It took a lot of people out. The numbers are still numbers, and people are getting vaccinations and stuff, and people are still being infected, and new strains and all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. During this time that everybody is complaining, that everybody is fighting, that nobody's really happy, man, you could be building yourself an empire. You could be reinventing yourself, doing something new. You could become better than what you were yesterday. And I always tell people, becoming better, it does not mean that it just happened today. It doesn't mean it all has to happen today. but just doing a little bit. And I'm going to keep hammering that home till people understand. All you got to do is a little bit at a time, a little bit of change. Man, a little bit of change ain't hurt nobody. Change ain't just for dollar bills. It's for people too. So if you're giving away your time foolishly, if you're literally giving away your time foolishly, then I plead with you. It would behoove of you to reassess, to reevaluate. Start stealing your time back. Matter of fact, don't steal your time back. It's already yours. How can you steal what's yours? Reclaim your time back a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. And before you know it, you'll be spending that time the way you want to spend it. Because who's going to value your time more than you? You know? Don't get me wrong. People can enjoy being in your presence, but that's their time that they choose to spend with you if you chose to spend it with them. See, two people come together, they both got different time. You're not sharing the same time. You may be in the same moment, but their time is theirs. Yours is yours. Y'all can mutually make a choice to spend time together. So enjoy your time. Let them enjoy theirs. Y'all make a beautiful moment. I always tell people that happiness is not a constant state. Rather, it's just a collection of moments. But misery is the same way. It's just a collection of miserable moments. So spend your time working towards those happy moments. Because let me tell you something, when you get old and gray, when your body just ain't doing it for you no more, and your last days may be spent just chilling out in some nursing home or chilling out all alone in your house with your cat or your dog or whatever. All you're going to have when you open up your bag of memories, if you're blessed enough to have your mind in that frame of time, all you're going to have is memories to think back on. So you decide whether you want to sit back and be one of those people who are going to eventually say, oh man, you know, I regret doing this. I regret that. Or if you're going to say, you know what, it was one hell of a fucking ride. I smoked a little, I drank a little, I had sex, I fucking built a company, I fucking, you know, traveled to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I jumped out of an airplane or listen, I grew food and I canned and I cooked and I did this. I inspired people. I helped one person that grew to great heights. You got what I'm saying? You got to take that with you. Those are the things that you want to cherish. Those are the things that you want to hold on to. Those are the things that you need to understand mean more than anything. And guess what? Much like the things that you learn, those memories is something that nobody can take away from you. Nobody can take it away from you. And don't let them take it away from you. Don't freely give your time. Make people earn it. Make them earn it. I was in a long-term relationship and I felt like my time was stolen because I invested so much of it into somebody. And I'm not going to say that they're a bad person. But clearly, after all I did, were you deserving of my time? For everything that happened to go down the way that it went down, was you deserving of my time? And who can I be mad at? Them? No. Because when you give somebody something, they don't steal it. You gave it. So who should you be angry at? Them or yourself? I hear so many people complain about stuff. We complain about so many things. I know I wasn't hitting up comments this evening, but I will read a couple. Oh shit. I changed my mind. I'm not gonna read a couple because I don't have my glasses on and I can't see that far. So, so I'm gonna tell y'all like this. If nothing else, and nothing you take away from this conversation today, understand this. Your time is precious. There is a clock ticking. It is. You don't know how much time you got left. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know what next week is going to bring. It's a lot of people who started out last year who didn't finish last year. It's some people who finished last year but didn't make it into today. You got what I'm saying? And this ain't just old people. Sometimes it's kids. Sometimes it's kids. I hear people, oh, so-and-so died and they was like 90. You know what? That's a good life, in my opinion. But when I'm 90 and I'm at that moment, am I going to want more time? Or am I going to sit there and say, you know what? I'm thankful for the 90 years I had. Shit, I can remember a point in time when I was just thankful that tomorrow came. And somehow that brought me peace, one day after the other. So tonight I'm going to be ending my show early. But what I'm going to tell you all is this. Time is so relevant. It is. If you feel like you're not giving somebody enough time, then make an effort to do that. If you feel like you're giving somebody too much time, then reclaim some of that. You know what I mean? Change your habits to put you in a better space for you. You got what I'm saying? On, what is it? April the 14th, 517 Avenue Estates, Dream Event Space. I'm having an open mic. If you did not go to Mind of the Storm on Facebook, please go to Mind of the Storm and like the page. I'm just building it up. Also, my music will be on, well, my poetry will be on a multitude of platforms, and they're poems that you have not heard. Well, maybe some of them are ones that you heard, but it'll be in a way you've never heard them before, and some that I just never do. I may have just recorded them and just for posterity or whatnot. So I will be having at least about 50 tracks up. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have, it'll be on Pandora, iTunes, all that jazz, do what you do. I have another video that I should be putting out on the 16th. And another thing I want to tell y'all, please take some time out and share my video. If I see you sharing a fight and you didn't share my little cartoon video, then we gonna be fighting in real life. But always find a reason to smile. Always find a reason to laugh. It's way too much bullshit. And go to what is it? www.mindofthestorm.com. That is my webpage. If you want to hire me to come out and perform, I can come out and perform. I have a calendar of events on there. It's a countdown ticker to my next event. I'm populating the page now, but it's way more popping than what it was before. So please, always find a reason to smile, always find a reason to laugh. It's way too much bullshit going on in this world. I love you.
They also